Continuing with Chapter 2. In the AICPA Professional Standards as of June 1st, 2015, independence is defined in the AUC Introduction, Glossary of Terms, where quotes from ET 0.400. So, let's take a look. I'm going to do this so you can see, yes, it will take you some time. In a search function, I'm putting in AICPA space ET space 0.400. So what comes up? There's a tab here, AICPA Code of Professional Conduct. And then I'm going to go down to 0.400. And under that, paragraph 21. It just takes a while to get to this. Independence consists of two elements defined as follows. Independence of mind is the state of mind that permits a member to perform an attest service without being affected by influences that compromise professional judgment, thereby allowing an individual to act with integrity and exercise objectivity and professional skepticism. Part B, independence in appearance, is the avoidance of circumstances that would cause a reasonable and informed third party who has knowledge of all relevant information, including the safeguards applied, to reasonably conclude that the integrity, objectivity, or professional skepticism of a firm or member of the attest engagement is compromised. So what that means is that independence consists of two elements. One is an element of fact and the other is an element of appearance. You have to satisfy both in order to be independent. Who determines whether the auditor is or was independent or not independent? Initially, it's the auditor himself. However, in a large firm, it could be that someone starts out on the staff, and someone on the staff may have a question, am I independent or not? If that's the case, take it to somebody who is designated by the firm to solve these questions of independence. Having said that, there was one of the big four firms some years back, I don't recall which one it was. There were designated partners around the country who served as resources, is someone independent or not? And it turned out that they themselves were not independent. So the SEC required that the firm put on its home page that particular situation. And they were required to leave it up on their home page for, I believe it was 2 years. Page 34, Purpose of an Audit. Burl and Means in 1932 said that there could be a separation between ownership and management. Owners could hire people to manage the firm for them and simply have a relationship whereby owners compensated the managers based on a contract. That contract did not necessarily have to be written, but nowadays for large publicly owned companies, yes, those contracts probably are written. That doesn't mean that they can't be changed, however. In the academic literature, that has led to the agency model. In the two-party agency model, there is a principal and an agent. In the three-party agency model, the third party is the monitor. So that works very well with stockholders being the principal, board of directors and or management being the party that they are contracting with, and the auditor being the monitor. So let's take a look. Audit Standard 2815, paragraphs 3 to 4. Let me call that up. Standards, auditing standards. $28.15. the meaning of present fairly in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles. And going to paragraphs 3 and 4, the independent auditor's judgment concerning the fairness of the overall presentation of financial statements should be applied within the framework of generally accepted accounting principles. Without that framework, the auditor would have no uniform standard for judging the presentation of financial position, results of operations, and cash flows in financial statements. That's paragraph 3. And then you can read for yourself paragraph 4. On page 35, there's a heading, Appropriate Competence and Capabilities. For that, let's take a look at AS 1010. Audit Standards 1010, Training and Proficiency of the Independent Auditor. That's something that we don't need to take time in this video. You can take a look at that for yourself. Page 36, Maintain professional skepticism and exercise professional judgment. Here, let's again go to the audit standards, but here we're going to two separate standards, AS 1015 and AS 2401. So let me get that. AS 1015, do professional care in the performance of work. Here I'm going to be looking particularly at paragraphs 7 through 9. This deals with professional skepticism. So there are 3 paragraphs there, and look at all 3 paragraphs, but look especially at paragraph 9. The auditor neither assumes that management is dishonest nor assumes unquestioned honesty. In exercising professional skepticism, the auditor should not be satisfied with less than persuasive evidence because of a belief that management is honest. This is something that has changed over the years. It used to be in the professional standards, auditors were allowed to assume that management was honest unless something came to the attention of the auditor. Well, maybe that's not true. Then the professional standard changed to neutrality. We neither assume that management is honest nor assume that management is dishonest. Then professional standards change yet again to what it is today. Auditors have to be aware of the possibility that things are being done incorrectly on purpose, and that management itself may be participating in that, in fact, might have instigated that. Consequently, there is a relatively new requirement. At least the principal members of the audit team must get together, brainstorm, and figure out what could be going wrong and not be picked up or corrected by the internal control system. Then, having found that, they have to decide, okay, now what are we going to do to test that? AS 2401, let me get that. Auditing Standards, AS 2401, Consideration of fraud in a financial statement audit. Here, take a look at the whole thing. You don't necessarily need to read it in detail, but at least skim over it. But do read in detail paragraph 13. I'm scrolling down to paragraph 13 right now. The importance of exercising professional skepticism. That's something that you should read for yourself. Again, feel free to pause the video, take a look at AS 2401-13, read that, and then restart the video. On page 36, Adequate Planning and Supervision, we have another standard, AS 1015, and I'm looking at paragraph 6. That's just before the paragraphs on professional skepticism. Auditors should be assigned to tasks and supervised commensurate with their level of knowledge, skill, and ability, so that they can evaluate the audit evidence they are examining. The engagement partner should know, at a minimum, the relevant professional accounting and auditing standards and should be knowledgeable about the client. The engagement partner is responsible for the assignment of tasks to and supervision of the members of the engagement team. In large publicly owned companies, that's not really exactly how it works. Typically, the engagement partner, yes, is in overall charge of the audit engagement. But there is somebody who is assigned to oversee the fieldwork portion of the audit. That person who is assigned to oversee the fieldwork portion of the audit, I'm going to call the senior. There have been different terminologies over the years. The terminology I will use is junior, somebody who starts out working for the firm, semi-senior, taking on some responsibilities for the fieldwork portion of the audit, and senior. Senior is the person who is responsible for the fieldwork portion of the audit. So he has people working under him. And anytime I say he, yes, that includes she. So what happens is that in the planning phase, the senior will take a look what was done last year. Included in that planning, he has access to the information about who did what, how much time did it take. So if he knows the staffing that he can count on this year, he can say, oh, here's who I'm going to assign to this task, here's who I'm going to assign to that task. Another task is going to take more than one person, so I'm going to have so-and-so lead that portion. That person who is leading that portion is essentially serving as a semi-senior, even if he's not actually designated as being a semi-senior. You want to learn as you're going through this so that you can advance. Maybe you will continue in the CPA firm, maybe not. Quite frankly, not everyone in this class is going to become an auditor. But by knowing this information, it will help you in your accounting career. If you intend to become a CPA, then you'll have to pass the Uniform CPA examination. And to do that, you'll have to know this information. AS 1201 regarding supervision. Let me get to that. Supervision of the audit engagement. So at least take a look at this particular audit standard. At least take a look at the headings. At least skim through it. I encourage you to read through it, but if you feel as though you don't want to do it, at least not at this time, that's perfectly all right. I'm going to end this video here and then start another video.